Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you can hear me. My computer is doing weird things. Oh, that's it. That's the show. Good night. Oh, I wanted to talk tonight about the topic, the claims that so many people are Russian assets. I have an awful lot to say about it, and I'm hoping that I'm able to get it all in before Netter's Network at 9 o'clock Central. I think I can. At least I think I can get everything that's actually relevant. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello, John JPRPH1. Thank you for your kindness, your support, and coming to listen to me rant about how we are all, in fact, Russian agents. I hope you are spending your rubles wisely. Hail Connie Cleary, the faithful bird woman of YouTube. When I get my 1,000,000 rubles from Putin, I will pay you for your monitor services. Overish Tim. Hail to thee. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for showing up and for your kindness and support. And I love that you often beat me to the memes in Cosme when we're watching Twin Peaks or some other movie. And I still haven't learned how you get that meme where the Animaniacs are saying, all is strange and vague. Are we dead, or is this Ohio? So to retaliate, I just downloaded a picture of it. Now and then I toss one in there. I thought about tossing one in here, but I decided I didn't want to go live even a second late. Tim said that to his father when we went to Dayton, Ohio to visit the Air Force Museum back in 2022 for my 40th birthday. Well, you're roughly a decade younger than me, whippersnapper. You need to respect your elders. Matt Cheatwood, thank you for coming. I know at some point you will probably need to go and take care of your goats, but I hope to entertain and possibly inform. You got it, the adult softcore film music. I thought really hardcore about trying to rewrite the lyrics to Secret Asian. Shows where my mind's at. Secret Agent, man. And starting this with the karaoke of that, and then I decided that I just didn't want YouTube to even, bother with any of that. Only 3 hours. Yeah, I think I can get it done in 3 hours. If all the old conservative talk radio people, I don't know if you remember this because you probably weren't crazy like me and listening to them, but a lot of them had 3-hour shows. And before I started doing this streaming, I always thought, man, you can cover a lot of ground in 3 hours. That's crazy. Rush Limbaugh always had this stack of stuff, and he never got through it, even half of it, ever. And I thought, wow, I mean, I'll bet if I had that show, I could do that. Now I realize, no, it's harder than I thought. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Matt Cheatwood, Sukabiat. Indeed. I've forgotten so much Russian. And the chronic fatigue doesn't help. I'm desperately trying to think of a phrase right now. I'm not even going to tell you what it is because I don't want to embarrass myself. I can't think of how to say it. But I won't worry about it. The Russians don't pay me for my intelligence. They pay me for my devilish good looks. I did, yes, Tim. I listened to Rush Limbaugh for a while. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. That's actually how I'm going to begin the stream once I get through saying hello to everybody. and likely scaring everyone away who isn't regular. But I'm up to 8 people right now, so that's actually quite promising. Hopefully 1 or 2 of you are not regulars, and hopefully I don't annoy the crap out of you. We will find out. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, keep it down, I'm trying to nap. Well, if you weren't napping, you would be sharing the Russian disinformation that we're supposed to be spreading. We've been paid good money by Putin. That is why YouTube censors you. I remember the restrooms. Yeah, I ended up losing a lot of my liking of him, but at the end of the day, I still love the guy. I miss the guy, and if nothing else, even if all the rest of his stuff was not correct, I will be forever in his debt for the truth that there is a massive liberal bias, and frankly, the bias he was talking about 20, 30 years ago, it looks innocent and accidental and incidental compared to what we deal with now that Russia's gone. I've lost 2 people. I bet they were both angry liberals. Don't they listen to Rush Limbaugh? Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! There are times when people need to hear the truth. Agreed. And again, I know there are probably people who do disagree with us who would say, well, you need to listen to the truth too. So I won't swear that this is going to be a balanced episode, but I did at least make some vague efforts toward it. Probably not as good as a real journalist from back in the days when we had real journalism, but I would suggest likely a lot better than most actual journalists. All right, so I'm going to start, actually, I'm going to change the tactic that I was going to do. I'm going to start by sharing my X feed. Now, for a while I was following Benny Johnson, who you see here, I hope, on the X thing. And I decided to unsubscribe from him because I had also unsubscribed from virtually all of the liberal after the assassination attempt of Trump, and then after a couple of other things that happened, which I hope I have the cognizance to talk about. I basically unsubscribed from nearly all of the liberal type people that I had subscribed to before in an effort to be centrist. But I felt like it was unfair to do that without basically unsubscribing to a corresponding number of conservative people. So basically, if you're not in this community, there's some self-help things, there's some science things, but largely the so-called news outlets, there's probably only 2 or 3 people now, and they are all conservative. There's probably only 2 or 3 people now that I subscribe to. While Benny Johnson is no longer someone I've subscribed to, he keeps popping up in my feed. I don't mind, I just don't look at it as much. Because I, like Tim, call BS on both sides, 100%. 100%. Matt Cheatwood, real journalists like Durante. Yeah, you got it. I'm glad that the community let me know, reminded me about the things going on in Ukraine, inspired me to research into the Holodomor, which I had only a very facile knowledge of before, probably still not enough. And I knew nothing about Durante. I knew about people like him, but I didn't know anything about him per se. So here we are, Benny Johnson. I really don't even care about what he's got up here to say. You can look at it if you want to. That isn't what I want to look at. It's not what I care about. It's the comments. We basically got right-wingers. We stand with you, Benny. We're gonna this person's gonna sue Elon Musk and Grok for generating a headline. Tenet media indicted for Russian influence. I know nothing about this, but and I'm just scrolling because I don't often do it, but every now and then I just like to look at what people have to say. Yeah, the right wingers are saying all their right wing stuff. Everything is predictable. And then here we go again. It wasn't leaked, it was released. You going to give back that dirty Russian money or not? Are you getting paid by Russians? Let's see here. More right wing stuff. I really don't understand people who can sell out their own country. Not exactly saying, in fact, I don't even know which side that's on, but it kind of makes the point. Many of the Russians, Chaicoms, and others depend on deceiving well-meaning people. The indictment clearly says you were deceived and are thus blameless. Make the most of this. Think of those who know better. I don't know which side he's on either, but here we are again, mentioning Russians, mentioning Chaicoms. I won't go much further, but here we go. Will you be leaving Tenet after learning of their Russian influence? Benny Johnson is now a confirmed Russian asset. And on and on and on. I mean, you can keep scrolling down, but it's just like right wings standing with Johnson and left wingers just insisting that this is Russian influence. And it got me to thinking, I think this is part of where my journey has been. I don't know that this post is going to prove this, but I have come to suspect that the strategy of the left is just to say to anything that we say, oh, well, that's all Russian influence. And then they don't have to listen to us. They don't have to look at the arguments. They don't have to do any intellectual reasoning. They just have to, do that sheep's bleat. I don't know if you remember 1984, but there was a word in Newspeak called duck speak. It was where you're basically just parroting out the party lines. You're not really thinking. You're not really communicating. You're just saying what the party tells you to say. I think that this happens on both sides, but it scared me to find my friends doing a lot of that themselves. And when you try to point it out to them, oh, you're just listening to Russian disinformation. So now I'm going to dig back a little bit into my own journey, and this is where I will bore a lot of people who aren't, regular followers, but I promise I'm going to get there, and I'm going to try to be quick about it because the information is more important than my sob story. But toward the end of my marriage, I was in a very, 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 very dark place. And I was listening not just to right wingers, but I mean, not no Proud Boys, no Neo Zanies, but probably about as hardcore right as you could be and not be there. I was listening to Alex Jones. I was listening to Michael Savage. I was listening to oh crap, I can't remember his name now. But anyway, Rush Limbaugh was actually becoming the very nearly the liberal part of the people that I listened to. Yes, Gorillas Random Thoughts. Thank you for reminding me. You're forgetting racist, sexist, misogynistic, toxic masculinity, homophobic, Islamophobic, Zionist assholes. I don't think you left anything out. Well done. Bravo, bravo. No, you're not wrong. We are the party of hate, but it's fair game to call us all of these things. And if we dare to respond with any anger at all, we are, as you said, racist, sexist, hateful, etc. This was a strategy of my ex-wife. You poke the person, you insult the person. Now, to be fair, my left-wing friends don't do that to me, but they have been dismissive. They've frankly been disrespectful. Um, and, I don't like that. Who would? So anyway, I got into a really dark place. Rush Limbaugh died. Um, I wish I could remember the other guy's name, but he died. Michael Savage was taken off of his radio show because basically he said something unfortunate. I'm not going to try to blame anyone else, but at the same time, I might have done the same thing if I was in his shoes. I don't know. But he said something really terrible to one of the call-in people. They yanked him off the show. And Alex Jones, as we all know, even before the lawsuit, I stopped listening to him because I felt this was just me at the time. Feel free to disagree on either direction. But when he said that Sandy Hook didn't happen, he basically lost a lot of credibility. Maybe not all, but nearly all credibility with me. Which, by the way, and side note, this is the same reason why I'm upset with people who say that the Trump assassination attempt was staged. It's the same reasoning. It's the same logic. And if you're going to condemn one, you have to condemn the other. That is my thought. Until you can absolutely prove, just like Alex Jones, if Alex Jones can present proof that Sandy Hook was fake, I'll start listening to him again. But when you suggest that something that, by the way, Sandy Hook didn't happen in front of your very eyes, the assassination of Donald Trump did. Think about that. You're so angry, so hateful, and I may sound hateful now too, and I apologize if I do. But you're so angry and hateful, you don't even want to believe your own eyes. This had to be staged. And possibly I'm the one that's wrong. But I'm going to go back to, times became dark. Trump was all over the news. It was mostly negative. It was a lot of crazy shit. And I started to wonder what the hell is going on. And a lot of it, I knew that some of it was lies, but I couldn't, basically, you hear it often enough, you start to think, well, maybe it's true, especially the Russian asset thing. Well, maybe it is. I mean, I know he can be a jerk in this and that direction. So, maybe he is selling the country out. But then more and more, I guess another thing I'm going to say about the assassination attempt, look, I haven't been in what most people would call combat, but I've been in some pretty interesting spots that I will absolutely not talk about on the air. And all I'm going to say is you learn about somebody's character when they're under fire, when there are bullets flying around. And I'm sorry. I think, you may think whatever the hell you want about Trump, but I think he exhibited courage and he exhibited concern and care about us when he was under fire, which I guess makes me understand why you would think, oh, that's got to be staged. Well, maybe, or maybe he just has more courage and more character than you're ever going to be willing to accede to it. I probably sound like I'm just swallowing the Kool-Aid, but let's do a deep dive and see what we can find out. Gorilla's random thoughts. The difference is Alex Jones apologized multiple times before and after the lawsuit. And yeah, I don't want to completely, I'm equivocating and crawfishing here. I don't want to throw the man completely under the bus. I never got to a place where I hated him or despised him. I just felt like, to me, he lost credibility. But there have also been times, I think I've discussed this, where he's been frighteningly correct. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies. I am so looking forward to your show tonight. And Alex Jones' problem, he doesn't know when to shut his mouth. He gets to rambling on, goes in some sort of automatic speaking mode. He's never been someone to listen to and take seriously. And I understand that. Again, though, I'm not going to make excuses for myself. I was just in a very, very bad, not great place. That's not to excuse anything, but I've learned that you can go some when you're enduring hours of emotional abuse. Yeah, you end up going into a dark place. But let's investigate. The first thing I heard as far as Trump being a Russian asset was the Steele dossier. And good day to you, DJ Ronnie G. Thank you for showing up and for your kind support. I'm talking about how so many people are Russian assets and whether or not we should give any credibility to those statements, or if it's all a big bunch of crap. And hello, Horse 123, same to thee. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your kind support. And the discussion today is Russian assets. Do we know who the Russian assets are? Should we pay attention to claims of Russian assets? What is all this crap? Gorilla's random thoughts. Putin endorsed Kamala, so she is now a Russian asset. I need to look at that up. But first, let's look at ABC News behind the Russian dossier. And I won't read this whole thing, but I want to be at least quasi-fair. Probably not very much, but a little bit. This is back in 2021, ABC News, when basically the dossier was practically an established, proven fact. Oh, and who else have we got here? Greetings at Connie Cleary and Moira Kitty, meow meow. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but it seems to just interfere too much with people streaming when I do Wednesdays. And besides, I like to see Mr. Londell's groovy movies on Wednesdays, so there it is. But yeah, I've decided I'm going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least for the foreseeable future. And then I'll talk to the people in the chat, but I'm thinking about doing something Sunday morning. But I'll see what you guys think about that idea toward the end of the stream. Okay, so Steele dossier, how Christopher Steele penned his reports and the fallout from his unmasking. The ex-spy went into hiding after he was identified as the dossier's author. In early June of 2016, when Christopher Steele arrived for lunch at London's Heathrow International Airport, he could not have known that this meeting with an old friend would lead him down the path to international notoriety. Steele, I mean, it just sounds like Remington Steele. So it's hard to believe that's a real name. But, I don't want to be like our friends and, oh, this can't be real. I have no idea. Steele, a retired British spy who is duty-bound to maintain his cover, and evidently did not, was unaccustomed to public attention. That day he would meet Glenn Simpson, a former journalist and founder of the corporate intelligence firm Fusion GPS. Well, that's interesting because, as we all know, anyone that's in the intelligence business is usually an honest person and on the up and up. Purrs and hellos from the chats. And Gorilla's random thought, wasn't that the one that got debunked because Hillary paid millions to have it fabricated? I'm going to get there, but I just want to establish what was the basis, what was the groundwork for the accusations. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. We realized it was potentially quite a big project, potentially quite a controversial project. Steele said in an exclusive interview. Ooh, it's an exclusive with ABC's News, George Stephanopoulos, which, right or wrong, again, I listen to Rush Limbaugh. I don't think I will ever have any respect for Stephanopoulos. I'm sorry. That likely does make me biased, but I can't really take much of what the guy says seriously. Mr. Lundell is confirming, and I will confirm it soon too. Oh, did you? Oh, I'm sorry. Moira, I can't hardly, I don't keep track of squad anymore. My bad. But I hope that you have or had or whatever a great stream, and I'm sure it was informative, and hopefully my whatchamacallit, my recommendations or whatever the YouTube things are will pop it up, and I can watch it on the other side. Normally, when you do these things, you might find some business deals that might be questionable, etc. Because see, he wanted to bring Steel Source Network and Russia expertise to a high-stakes investigation into the Republican nominee for President Donald Trump. All right, this could be dangerous. This could be bad. And we all know that nobody who ever investigated the Clintons or Boeing ever disappeared. Over the course of the next 6 months, Steele would file 17 memos to Fusion GPS and its client, a law firm representing the DNC and Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. And this was no red flag at all. Okay, why not? The salacious claims in the so-called Steele dossier involving sex, spies, and scandal are well known by now. And this is why I was thinking so hard about, odds are you won't live to see tomorrow. Secret Asian man. I can't help it. I listen to too much Rush Limbaugh, and he used to play Secret Asian Man. I'll go there in a little bit, too. Details of how Steele gathered the intelligence, the personal toll of its fallout, have remained shrouded. And that in no way raises any red flags either. Because we all know that, espionage is, after all, something that happens under the covers, and we can believe everything that any intelligent person says. While I did watch and refer to and advocate that you watch and believe some of the Bezmenov interviews, I also want to point out he was in the intelligence agency. I think a lot of the things that he says is actually wishful thinking, but I also think that we're getting to a point where it's no longer wishful thinking. Hey, Gorilla's Random Thoughts, thank you very much for subbing to Moira. Good on you. And Moira subbed back. I love this community. There's so many good people out here. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, thank you. Though if you listen to me, you might need a psychologist. Well, yeah, that's probably true of me too. One of my friends, he listened to a little bit of my stuff, and he wasn't disrespectful, but he did basically send me a post saying that it was really crazy stuff. That's all I'm going to say about that. To be fair, it probably is. It's not at all usual for me to be in the public eye, but we've been there for years, Steele said, because of the vitriol and the things that people have said about us, and our motivations and our work are so far-fetched and untrue. I thought it was important to come and set the record straight. Now, that's well and good, and that's actually appropriate and fine, because everyone has the right to defend themselves. I don't give a damn what modern corporate and alphabet soup structures say. Everyone has a right to defend themselves. Moira, I know that I need a psychologist. I used to have a really good one, but haven't been able to afford one for a while. So, listen at your own risk. Where I'm going to go with this statement is him defending himself is legitimate. Trump defending himself as hatefulness. Am I wrong? I mean, am I wrong? The dossier takes shape. After meeting with Simpson, not Homer Simpson, Steele and his business partner at Orbis Business Intelligence, Christopher Burrows, discussed the risks associated with taking on such a potentially sensitive project. There's always debate on every project that we take on. Some of them are clear-cut, fairly standard projects, which don't require a great deal of debate. I really don't care anymore about that debate. Debate's been had and won. Ultimately, I'm being sarcastic. Ultimately, the two agreed to accept the work. Donald Trump was involved, didn't play into their decision. Not at all. Steele had spent decades studying Russia and its enigmatic leader, Vladimir Putin. As an officer of MI6, the British intelligence service, he wanted the authoritarian leader. He watched him rise through the ranks. Steele says he believed the two may have even crossed paths. There's a possibility that in 1992, when I took a delegation of senior officials to St. Petersburg, that we actually met Vladimir Putin, Steele said. Putin was the head of the St. Petersburg Foreign Affairs Department at the time. He may have my business card. I guess I won't comment on that. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Moira, are you sure you don't have 6 minutes in the stream talking about chicken scissoring? And the worst part is I can't even remember how it started. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Sometimes we all need to shrink. Wonder if we could pool our money and get a group discount. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful idea, actually. Steele had previously probed Russian interference in various European elections as part of an investigation called Project Charlemagne. We were, at the end of the day, looking at Russia as we always did, similar sources that we had used before, Steele said. One of those sources, whom Steele later described to the FBI as a prolific asset, was outed in 2020 after Republican U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham released the transcript of an FBI interview with the source. It was later identified as a Washington-based think tank analyst. Steele refused to acknowledge the man as his primary collector. A collector, Steele explained, is somebody who obviously works for us directly, is paid for us directly, doesn't necessarily have direct access to information, but knows people who do. Within weeks of receiving his tasking from Steele, the collector had traveled to Russia and returned to London. He later told the FBI that he never kept written or electronic notes, as doing so posed a security risk. No, duh. His oral briefing with Steele at Orbis' office would later make up the contours of Report 080, the first entry of the dossier, which leveled stunning accusations about a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin. I was surprised and shocked, Steele said of the findings, and yeah, so was I. Having said that, some of the things that we were being told were clearly aspects of well-known Russian modus operandi. And therefore, in a sense, there was a logic and a cultural recognition of what was going on. Steele transmitted his first report to Simpson via FedEx on June 24, 2016, his 52nd birthday. I am so glad they kept that detail in there. So relevant and so absolutely apropos to the story. Despite warnings from his wife and his business partner to omit it, and side note, we have to humanize Steele, but we, by God, better not humanize Trump. Despite warnings from his wife and his business partner to omit it, he opted to include the most salacious claim from the collector, an allegation that the Russians had obtained a compromising video of Trump at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Moscow in 2013, later colloquially referred to as the P-tape. I would have left it out. It sort of denigrates from the overall message, Burroughs told Stephanopoulos. The golden rule for golden showers, you just don't talk about sex in reports. But Steele defended his decision to include the salacious material. I would quite like not to have to talk about sex in reports, Steele said, but when you have an organization like the Russian intelligence agency FSB, where that is part of their toolkit, and look, let's be blunt and fair, or somewhat fair. Yeah, we know that. Anyone who's done even some incidental reading knows that honeypots and seductions, yeah, that is part of the game. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Mr. Lundell, the shrink might file a class action lawsuit for damages. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Trump has specifically and repeatedly denied that he engaged in this specific act. At a press conference the day after BuzzFeed published Steele's dossier, well, at least it went to a reputable source, Trump told reporters he was a germaphobe. He warned associates in 2013 that there would be cameras all over the place in Moscow. As recently as last week, Trump reportedly told donors at a private speech that he is not into golden showers. Steele continued meeting with his primary collector and ultimately penned 16 additional reports for Fusion GPS until after Trump won the presidency. But shortly after submitting Report 080, Steele said he felt duty bound to do two things. One was to try and run it down on a future collection visit, if you like, he said. The second was we immediately decided we had to report it to the FBI. I don't want to read this whole thing. Partly because I have my bias, but here, I'll just skip down to the ending. After Trump's electoral triumph in early November, Steele continued filing reports to Fusion GPS. By then, he had shared the contents of his reporting with others outside the FBI and Justice Department, including multiple State Department officials and notably an aide to then Senator John McCain. The dossier was quickly becoming Washington's worst kept secret. We were in our kitchen and it suddenly came on CNN that they'd got this great scoop, Steele said. It sounded very familiar. American news outlets were reporting that the intelligence chiefs had briefed President Barack Obama and President-elect Trump on Russia's election meddling and included some of the details from Steele's dossier. Steele's name hadn't yet been reported, but he assumed it was only a matter of time. I'm not going to sing the song. This is Christopher Steele right here. Later that day, BuzzFeed News published Steele's dossier in its entirety. On January 11, the Wall Street Journal named Steele as the dossier's author. It's quite a headline to read, I imagine, Stephanopoulos said. It certainly is when you've spent your life in the shadows, behind the scenes, said Steele, but it did seem to us inevitable that this would happen. We had already left home by the time that article came out. Gorilla's random thoughts. Yeah, the piss tape. I'm a kinky guy. That's even too far. It's too far for me. Here's the deal. They had me convinced this was something that absolutely bona fide, proven was something that happened. And now I'm beginning to suspect that it's a big stash of lies. Again, I'm not trying to say that Trump is a great saint. I'm not trying to say that he's a white knight, never did anything anything risque, but I'm beginning to think that a lot of these claims are just a bunch of crap to try to demoralize us and cast bad light on him. And frankly, if they wanted to do that, I think there probably was enough true stuff, but they can't stop. They have to keep going. They have to keep going, as in, you have a brain worm. You ate a roadkill dog. You propped up a roadkill bear in a park. You chopped up a whale's head and drove the whale's head home. The lie just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I honestly think that there's bets in the FBI or CIA or whoever does it at just how ridiculous of a lie are we going to be willing to believe. Mr. Lundell's groovy movies. Most important thing, dossier has been proven fake. No one could prove any accusation leveled in it. And I'm going to just drop this article. Feel free to read it. It's basically got the whole thing. Trump called Steele a liar, but of course, Trump calling Steele a liar, because Trump said it, is just obviously not so. All right, Gorilla's random thoughts. Lots of people who know Trump says he's a germaphobe. Yeah, and I don't know him, but I have read some of his books. I watched The Apprentice fairly diligently until, look, the man did get to irritating. So I don't want to act like I'm Trump is the greatest and I love everything that he does. But at the same time, I think at some point you've got to open your eyes and start looking. And Kennedy said it best: we've got to love our children and our country more than we hate Trump. I think that absolutely is something that has to start happening. Whether you vote for him or not, that's not my point. Although I do appreciate the comment, A. Zimmer, Trump 24 MAGA. Um, I haven't been very strong pro-Trump, but I get stronger and stronger toward that as basically as things just get crazy and lies keep mounting and mounting, and it comes to the point where I'm like Russell Brand. If they hate him so much, there's got to be a reason, and it's to such an extent that I can't believe it's just all him, because I don't think they would hate even the mustache man that much. He ain't a saint, but people are forcing me to defend him. No, I'm right there with you. You know, yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you. The brain worm died from starvation. Good one, gorillas. A. Zimmer, get your head out of your butt. It's all lies about Trump. Well, I don't know that it's all lies, but I think I think a lot of it is. So while I am going to call you out, you do need to be more respectful, please. But yes, we all need to be more honest about Trump. All right. So I'm going to change gears a little bit. No, actually, yeah, I'm going to do this. The Steele dossier has always been misunderstood. This was written. When was this written? This was written in 2022. So I'm not sure if it. Yes, I don't know if it had been disproven yet, but it was starting to. People were starting to see that there were holes in the dossier. The story of the Steele dossier took its latest turn this week with the acquittal of Igor Danchenko, an analyst who worked on the dossier and was accused of lying to the FBI about it. The case that John H. Durham brought against Danchenko was so weak that the judge threw out one of the charges before a jury could deliberate on it. The jury spent only one day before it acquitted Danchenko of the charges against him. This likely ends the quixotic quest of Durham to discredit the Mueller probe, and yet it didn't. The thing, basically, let's just go on. First, journalists treated the sensational dossier as proof of Donald Trump's Manchurian candidate-style nomination for the U.S. presidency. Supporters of the former president believe he's the victim of a witch hunt. For those of us in corporate investigations, it is neither. Heart of is confusion over exactly what the Steele dossier actually is. To shed light on it, let's describe the process. Essentially, he goes in depth here about how it was supposedly set up. It talks about Fusion GPS was paid at first by Republicans, then later by Democratic operatives to do a deep background check on Donald Trump. I wonder if they do that with everybody. Just asking. The Steele dossier was just raw intelligence based on rumors about Trump. At the time of the investigation, it would have certainly made sense to find out everything possible. There's always a danger that a source is misinformed or has an axe to grind. Really? Nah. Donald Trump had a long history related to Russia in 2015 when Fusion GPS was commissioned, dating back to the 80s when the Russians supposedly first targeted Trump as someone potentially useful to them. As reported by the founders of Fusion GPS in their book, A Crime in Progress, their public records research was extremely concerning. It showed, for instance, Trump's ties to Russians who might have helped to launder money through property deals. It made sense to do source inquiries considering what public records showed, the subject's international profile, and the high stakes of the investigation. So I don't know if this really tells us much more, but they go more into detail about how the thing was set about and how it really is. I mean, I know it's starting to have holes in it, but it really is legitimate, honestly. And then CNN had to come out and admit that it was false. Matt Cheatwood, I may not believe the same as others, but I will fight to protect the right to believe those things 100%. 100%. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. And have I said hello to you? Hello, Matt Cheatwood. I can't remember if I said hello to you. I am glad to see you. Yes, I did. I said that you'd probably have to feed your goats before all this got done. Okay. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Trump is an outsider. He has more money than he and his grandkids can spend in his lifetime, so he can't be bought. And this is one of the things that made me wonder. You know, everyone was saying, well, he's greedy and he just ravenously wants more money. But I couldn't help but think there's a hell of a lot better ways to make money than taking bribes from Russia. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but a few $1,000,000, respectfully to Russia, I doubt that they could come up with more than, say, $1 billion to bribe someone. And I'm afraid once you've hit that billionaire mark, that you might as well just start a freaking legitimate business and make it. You know, there's no danger, there's no treason, unless you're just in for the excitement. And okay, fine, maybe Trump's that kind of person. But I don't think so. A. Zimmer says the reason is he has dirt on them. You know, I hope. You know, I kind of wish he did. But anyway, my personal opinion is they hate and fear him. Matt Cheatwood says simply because he hasn't been vetted by decades of political career. They don't have their hooks in him as deeply as they want. I know Weinstein, not the convicted one, but the one that I'm always bringing up to the irritants of certain people. He said the same thing. Trump is the only person who lost money while in office. Gorilla's random thoughts. I don't know if that's true throughout all of history, but I would suggest that you would have to go a long way back. Possibly Washington, maybe, but you would have to go a long way back to come to a president who lost money in office. Bottom line is, you and America was much better off under Trump until these gangsters ruined the country. And you make a valid point, I believe, because so I'll go ahead and go down this rabbit hole for just a second. I think I've already mentioned this on in the streams before, so I don't want to go too deeply into it, but a couple of my mentors from the past, they're in their 60s, 70s, incredible, intelligent, wonderful people. And they've been posting on Facebook exactly what you're saying. Inflation was this at that time, now it's this. Gas was this price, now it's that. Rent was this price, now it's that. And the responses that he got from my friends who were also mentored by these people, I think it was not great. I don't want to call them out too much and share essentially what they said, because I feel like that's a little bit like betraying a confidence, but they didn't respond with anything like, actually your facts are wrong, or, actually this fact takes away from this fact. They just basically spouted out some party stuff. And I usually stay out of these kinds of things on Facebook, but I left a post to if y'all remember the 2025 refutation of that centrist that I'd shared before. I posted that in there, and I've gotten no response back, which is fine. I really don't even want one. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Remember a guy named Arm & Hammer? If you do, you'll probably think he was more of a Russian asset than Trump ever could have been. You know, I remember Arm & Hammer, but the neurons are not firing. Zimmer, you want to talk about bribes? Let's talk about Biden. Well, I'm not going to talk about Biden, but I do think that your point is valid. I do think so because, and eventually I will get to that, but I want to talk about the Steele dossier and why I think it's insane. Well, I shouldn't be disrespectful maybe, but I think my friends are mistaken to continue to believe in it to prove that Trump is a Russian asset. Okay, this is by Marshall Cohen, CNN. So this is not Fox propaganda. This is not Alex Jones. This is CNN. Do I want to read the whole thing? I'll at least read the beginning and the end. When it came to light in January 2017, just days before Donald Trump took office, the so-called Steele dossier landed like a bombshell and sent shockwaves around the world with its salacious allegations about Trump and his supposed ties to Russia. The central allegations that Trump conspired with the Kremlin to win the 2016 election and that Russia had compromising information on him were given a veneer of credibility because they originated from a retired British spy, Christopher Steele, who will be played by Pierce Brosnan, who had a solid reputation. I have no idea about that. I'm not into the intelligence business, so I could not tell you whether he did or not. The central allegations that Trump conspired with the Kremlin to win the 2016 election and that Russia had compromising information on him were given a veneer of credibility because they originated from that spy. 5 years later, the credibility of the dossier has significantly diminished. A series of investigations and lawsuits have discredited many of its central allegations and exposed the unreliability of Steele's sources. They also raise serious questions about the political underpinnings of some key explosive claims about Trump by shedding new light on the involvement of some well-connected Democrats in the dossier and separate efforts to prod the FBI to investigate ties between Trump's campaign and Russia. These revelations have triggered a reckoning around the Steele dossier, particularly in the wake of two recent indictments secured by John Durham, a special counsel appointment during the Trump administration to investigate the FBI's Russia probe. Durham alleges that Steele's primary source, a U.S.-based foreign policy analyst, repeatedly lied to the FBI about where he got his information. To be clear, multiple U.S. government inquiries uncovered dozens of contacts between Trump campaign associates and Russians, which have since been acknowledged. Now, here's the deal. There was one time when they were threatening to charge him with treason because he had had a talk with a Russian diplomat. And likely I'm just simple-minded, but I never understood why that alone. I mean, he's a president and the other guy's a diplomat. Why wouldn't he talk to him? I mean, unless you have him on tape saying, we will destroy America. Unless you have that, I never understood that. And then, of course, you notice they never did try him for treason. They've tried him for lots of really ridiculous things. But, they threaten treason, treason, treason. And, well, it doesn't seem like there is any treason. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Under Trump, eggs were 1.35. Under this administration is 4.5. Figure who you're voting for. Yeah, Zimmer, that's what he thought. Hey, somebody new in here. I mean, hey, Zimmer is as well, and I welcome you here. But Trevor Belmont, 9 people watching. The stream is as popular as a Kamala rally. Yeah, I'm still due, and that's okay. I welcome you here. Thank you very much for the comments. Definitely, you're welcome here. Trump 2024. Again, I've been trying to be centrist for a long, long time since the Trump assassination attempt. I no longer believe that that's possible. I believe that I have to pick a side. I have to pick the side that I think is most truthful. I don't know that any side is purely truthful. And I do think that that side is Trump's. And between the assassination attempt and Kennedy coming out and endorsing him, several other very intelligent liberal Democrats have come out and endorsed him. I think it's true. I think that, again, I don't like that you were a little disrespectful about it, A. Zimmer, but I think you make it a good point that we need to pull our heads out and start looking at the truth. Matt Cheatwood, Trevor Belmont, yeah, as much as I dislike him, I agree. Yeah. And again, I'm not, with respect to those of you who are pro Trump, I'm not coming out and saying, oh, I love Trump. Everything about him is wonderful. And, I want to be just like, I don't want to go too far the other way as well. Having said that, Reagan said that if we agreed on 80% of things and disagreed on 20% of things, we are not enemies, we are friends. And so I'm hoping that, we can be smart enough to act that way. Trevor Belmont, get ready to lose in November. I don't know which side you mean because I'm concerned about things, but yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Trump wins. I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't really see any best case scenario that doesn't involve that. Matt Cheatwood, Trevor Belmont, to be clear, I mean Trump, not Kurt. Thank you, Matt Cheatwood. You're very kind. Greetings, Sashi the man from the future. I am being blatantly pro-Trump and all that wild stuff. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, clipping that out of context. A. Zimmer is agreeing with Matt. Matt Cheatwood, treason has a very specific definition in the U.S. Agreed. And this was another thing, I wrote about it in my blog post, which is even less popular, Trevor Belmont, than this YouTube channel. But I wrote about that. There's specific definitions. Trump is being accused of this and that and the other, but does it really mount up to true treason? I was trying to be the proponent of reason, and my words fell on mostly deaf ears. Although I'm pretty sure Matt did read that one, so I appreciate you. As Zimmer, selling access to the White House is treason. Yep. Well, I mean, again, I'm sure that my liberal friends will disagree with you, but I don't. At least not. No, I don't disagree with you. I do not disagree with you on that. Oh man, Matt Cheatwood, I don't even know what to say to that because I understand what you mean. But if you'll allow me to just say it hurts to hear that, not because I think you're a bad person or that I think you're wrong, but just, man, the fact that we probably do have to revisit that. But anyway, Gorilla's Random Posts, blog posts are less popular because you have to read. Yes, indeed. I'm going to skip down. Legitimate questions are now being raised about the dossier, how it was used by the Democrats as a political weapon against Trump, how it was handled by the FBI and U.S. intelligence agencies, how it was portrayed in the mainstream media. Democrats' hidden hand revealed. Trump swiftly rejected Steele's claims and said a group of opponents put that crap together. Nearly 5 years later, it's clearer than ever that he wasn't too far off about the origins of the dossier. 2 special counsel investigations, multiple congressional inquiries, civil lawsuits in the U.S. and the United Kingdom, an internal Justice Department review have now fully unspooled the behind-the-scenes role that some Democrats played in this saga. They paid for the research, funneled information to Steele's sources, and then urged the FBI to investigate Trump's connections to Russia. Mother Jones, I don't know who that is. Mother Jones is evidently a veteran spy, according to the internet. I won't argue the point right now. Again, I'm not in the intelligence business, although I am a bona fide Russian asset. It's so because I'm pro-Trump. I'm a Russian asset. Mother Jones first revealed the existence of the dossier a few days before the 2016 election, said the memos were part of the opposition research project underwritten by Democrats. Nearly a year passed before the full truth came out about the financing. The money flowed from Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign to law firm Perkins Coie, to the research company Fusion GPS, then ultimately to Steele, who got $168,000. This is the same party that wanted to crucify Matt Taibbi for being paid to make the Taibbi files. Why are we questioning Matt Taibbi for being paid? And I'll admit he probably got paid something like $168,000. I don't really know, but why are we not allowed to question Steele's authenticity when he's been paid $168,000 to say it? Matt Cheatwood, I agree. I'm a weirdo. I like to read. You notice that I read on this channel. I thought about reading a fairy tale or something weird just to throw everyone off base, but I didn't. Hey, Zimmer, he will win. They will try to steal again, and that is my fear. That's all I'm going to say about that. Mother Jones is a liberal magazine from way back. Thank you for letting me know, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Liberal magazine. So this liberal magazine, and this is another part of the movement of my thought. I'm not grabbing this stuff from Republican Party notes. I'm not grabbing it from Fox or Alex Jones or Tucker. I mean, I'll listen to Tucker Carlson, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if you've noticed, I don't quote him very often. I'm trying to get people to understand the liberals themselves are getting tired of the lies. I'm getting tired of the lies. If you want me to be anti-Trump, you have got to win me with the truth, with respect, with loving kindness. And I have not seen any of those. Now, then, of course, you have to, if we're going to be fair, we have to use the argument, do we see that on the right? That is a question for another day. But I would suggest that I have seen more in this community, which is not exactly an entirely right wing, but is a little bit right of center at any rate. I've seen more from this community than I have seen from some of the liberals. Democratic involvement in Steele's work was much deeper than previously known. Court filings from the Durham inquiry recently revealed that some information in the dossier originated from Charles Dolan, 71, a public relations executive with expertise in Russian affairs who had decades-long political relationship with the Clinton family. He has not been accused of any crimes. Imagine that. Federal prosecutors said Dolan was in regular contact in 2016 with Steele's primary source, Igor Danchenko, 49, a Russian citizen and foreign policy analyst who lives in Virginia. Danchenko was indicted, as I read in that previous post, and I'm sorry I kind of glossed through that one because I felt like it really wasn't as substantive as I thought it was when I first looked at it. But it's, you know, essentially it's a link in the chain. You know, things were starting to unravel, and eventually they finally did. Danchenko pled non-guilty last week. In a statement to CNN, his defense attorney, Mark Shamal, said Durham is pushing a false narrative designed to humiliate and slander a renowned expert in business intelligence for political gain. And I know that there was controversy on that the Democrats were all like, "Oh, Durham is just a big shill and this and that." Well, maybe he was, but the Steele dossier is just as discredited either way. I am now going to share. Yeah, Matt Cheatwood. I used to lean left of the center. You move, but it's moved so far left. I now lean right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly where I was because, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I was a pretty hardcore right winger at one time. And then I heard all this stuff and I got confused and I wondered what the hell is real and what is true. And it's like Bezmenov said, you get demoralized. You get to I didn't get to the point of my friends where I believed a party narrative irrespective of any evidence that was presented to me. But I had, and I still have to an extent, a question about what sources do we trust? What things that we've been told are real and what things that we've been told are lies? And it can get confusing really fast. Sashi, reading about the allegations that Trump was a Russian agent is considered reading fiction, right? Oh, I'm so tempted to sing Secret Agent, man. I may do it at the end of the stream if we have time. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. How late you going to be streaming so I know what time to set cringe stock for? I want to end before Netter, and she is on at 9 o'clock Central, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong, whoever's in the chat. But I know Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies is going to be the guest on there, and I wanted to be supportive of him and watch the interview between him and Netter. I love them both. Matt Cheatwood, truth is nothing but reason and principles, for they can lead you to the truth. No, exactly correct, I think. Exactly correct. I think we have to look at this stuff based off of principle. I think we have to look at it as best as we can. We will likely fail, but we have to try to be as objective as we can. I've got 3 videos and 1 thing to read, so it probably won't be 9, but maybe, because, I can get pretty wordy. And we get some really good discussions in here going, so I love that about the community. This is where I'm probably going to lose some people. This is one of my heroes. This is Russell Brand. He went through it in a different way than I did. Connie Cleary is letting us know that Netters is 10 Eastern and 9 Central. Thank you very much. So yeah, I definitely don't want to go any longer than that, and I won't. I'm pretty sure I can get all this talked about before then. What I like about Russell Brand, classical liberal, and he's still a classical liberal, but he's gone through his own intellectual and spiritual journey. All he's really, I know my left-leaning friends are going to say, no, BS, that can't be so. But what I see in him is a search for truth, an effort to be honest. He's recently become a Christian. He's reading C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity on the spiritual side. And that's not to say that you have to be or ought to be Christian. I'm not saying that. I love that he's on a quest for truth, and so he resonates with me because that's what I'm all about. I know that sometimes it's got to be irritating that I equivocate sometimes, and that I try sometimes to look at it from the other side, but I think we have to do that. Yes, indeed, Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Russell Brand is a reformed leftist, and I think it's interesting that all these charges came out when he started to become convincing. If you do the song at the end, be careful in case of a strike. Yeah, I won't do it. Um, I thought about making a parody of it, but you're right. YouTube is uh, too irritating about that. So let's see what Russell Brand. I don't know that I'm going to go through the whole video, but this is actually where I first learned, because I thought the Steele dossier was real. I hope you'll forgive me, but I thought it was real. And then this came up one day.
Was a Democratic conspiracy.
Here, let me back up a little
and
bit.
Hillary Clinton acolytes that were directly involved in the generation of what has proven to be a conspiracy. Untrue. Think about how much media you watched. Me, a person who I would think, broadly speaking, is from the left, a liberal, certainly not a Trump supporting Republican, with respect to those of you that are, I find myself in awe, gobsmacked, flabbergasted and startled by these revelations that Russiagate was a Democratic conspiracy. Let's unpack that now with the help of Glenn Greenwald.
I'm going to interject the most beautiful thing on the internet to me that doesn't involve beautiful women is the interview that Tucker Carlson did with Russell Brand. I love that. You have a right winger, you have a left winger. They're respectful to each other. They do call each other out, but they do it in a loving and respectful way. I think we need more of that. I hate that we've gotten to this place where we have to hate each other if we disagree with each other. Sashi, I can look at stuff from another angle from you. I'm way over here. Everything I look at is from a different angle. Amen. That's why I'm glad you're here. All right.
A lawyer for Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign was indicted on Wednesday with one felony count of lying to the FBI about a fraudulent Russiagate story he helped propagate. We have to recollect just how prevalent this story was. Every late night talk show all over the news, it was just, you were bombarded with it.
It qualifies as collusion, the product of collusion.
And collusion.
And my personal perspective is I want the world to be better. I want to believe that the Democratic Party are reliable, that they are the party of inclusivity and diversity and truth and social justice and all great positive ideas. What my concern is becoming is that these are totemic issues pushed to the forefront to mask ordinary, regular corruption, like the Russiagate thing, the Hunter Biden laptop, all of that stuff. Like, there are people that just absolutely believe that that's true.
And I still have friends that do believe that it's true. And I'm not going to say I've given up on my friends, but I've given up on trying to persuade them, because the only thing that I can see is that they hate him, they hate Trump so much, they just want to believe anything that justifies that hate and anything that makes it justifiable to do anything, including lying about a president with age-related cognitive decline, including negating all of the Democrat votes from the primaries. And yet we're not going to be upset about it because it's exciting, because we've got Kamala, and she is not Trump. Matt Cheatwood, yeah, I do still have at least two friends that believe that the Steele dossier is true. And yeah, I mean, I haven't said that to them, but I kind of want to. The human side of me wants to be like all petty about it. And I'm not saying you're being petty, but you're making a freaking point. It's the same thing as my friend. Some of you are new, won't know this, but I'd sent a debate between two professors to one of my friends about whether or not the disease that shall not be named, about whether or not the government had handled that correctly. And it was a really good debate. There was no insulting in it. Both sides used facts and figures and statistics. And the guy that won was actually the one that said, no, the government didn't handle it right. And the reason I say that is because who won was determined by a vote of the crowd, and the majority of them said he won. My friend's response was, no, I don't have time to listen to that. That debate has been had and won. Oh, Matt Cheatwood, no, you're not being petty. I'm being petty. You're just making a point. And so I have to put my foot in my mouth when I should have just shut up and let you make the point.
And when you watch something like that Social Dilemma documentary that says we all live in bubbles where we feed off certain types of media, it's becoming like there's becoming a deep bifurcation with people over here believing in this reality, people over here believing in this reality. And in a sense, we need to come together to form a collaborative vision for what America is, or accept that you can't have nation states anymore, that you'd be better off with separate confederacies, separate independent places where people can. Was a lie.
Even though I kind of agree with them a little bit, but
obvious. And Russiagate was a lie. Michael Sussman was charged with the crime by special counsel John Durham, who was appointed by former President Trump to investigate possible crimes committed as part of the Russiagate investigation, and whose work is now overseen and approved by Biden Attorney General Merrick Garland. Sussman's indictment is the second allegation of criminal impropriety regarding Russiagate's origins. In January, Durham secured a guilty plea from an FBI agent, Kevin Klein Smith, for lying to the FISA court and submitting an altered email in order to spy on former Trump campaign official Carter Page. The law firm where Sussman is partner, Perkins Coie, is a major player in Democratic Party politics. One of its partners at the time of the alleged crime, Mark Elias, served as general counsel to the Clinton 2016 campaign. The lie that Sussman allegedly told the FBI occurred in the context of his mid-2016 attempt to spread a completely fictitious story that there was a secret server discovered by unnamed internet experts that allowed the Trump organization to communicate with the Russia-based Alpha Bank.
Oh, wow. Okay. A. Zimmer, I apologize. I may not be smart enough to understand that TDS, it's QS8C. I probably ought to know what that means, but I don't. Oh, maybe I do. Hold on. Matt Cheatwood, I remember a time when there were liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats. Yes, I remember that too. Now the two parties are completely divided and opposed on every major issue. TDS is a sickness. Okay, gotcha. Horse 123, Ron Paul was the last of the liberal Republicans. Yeah. And this is where I'll probably lose people. I loved Ron Paul. But I don't know if anyone notices, while he still criticizes Trump, that's the side he mostly seems to support in this thing. Trump derangement syndrome. Thank you, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. I knew I was missing something simple. Yes, Trump derangement syndrome. Exactly. Sadly, exactly correct. Matt Cheatwood, I'm a fan of both Ron and Rand Paul. I am as well. And I brought that up to one of my liberal friends, and I thought that would be like a thing of connection. But instead, it was like, I can't even remember what he said. He said he stole money from a campaign thing or something. And I tried to look it up, but I just couldn't find anything about it, which is maybe my bad. He's told me other things and tried to look them up and couldn't find them. But I trust this guy to be honest as far as, legitimately reading something. But I no longer trust his interpretations of some things. JPRPH1, Nicole Shanahan had a TBS thing last week. Yes, she did. I love her.
I wasn't following that stuff particularly closely, but I remember it was seen as a defining issue in the election in 2016, still in 2020. It was something that was being talked about, and it was like being sort of, in a way, discussed as if it was just an absolute fact. To discover that this was propaganda, a construct, a confection by the Democratic Party, who, of course, are now in government, implied. I suppose what I personally think is it suggests to me that everything is a kind of construct. All of the information that's peddled and rendered is unreliable. The primary function is to create a state where people do not query or question and go along with edicts and ideas that are convenient to the powerful, and truth is just lost and just irrelevant for expedience. In the context of the 2016 election, in which the Clinton campaign had elevated Trump's alleged ties to the Kremlin to center stage, this secret communication channel was peddled by Sussman both to the FBI and to Clinton.
And I don't remember if he brings this out, but remember, we were basically told that the Hunter Biden laptop was false, but this Trump computer thing was true. Oh, hey Zimmer, that's okay. Yeah, I sometimes I get tired. I know that's lame, but I have a thing that makes it so that I have a brain worm. There, good enough. Matt Cheatwood, back in a few. Time to feed the goats. Have fun feeding goats. We'll listen to just a little bit more of Russell Brand, and then I'm going to kind of change tacks a little bit.
And friendly journalists as smoking gun proof of nefarious activities between Trump and the Russians. Less than 2 months prior to the 2016 election, Sussman secured a meeting at the FBI's headquarters with the bureau's top lawyer, James Baker, and provided him data which he claimed proved this communication channel. It was in the course of trying to lure the FBI into investigating this scam conspiracy theory when Sussman allegedly lied to Baker by concealing the fact, outright denying that he was peddling the story in his role as lawyer for the Hillary Clinton campaign, as well as a lawyer for a tech executive hoping to be appointed as the top cybersecurity official in the soon-to-be inaugurated Clinton administration.
There is another gentleman, his name escapes me, but he was also very instrumental in convincing me about some of these things. And his take was that there were massive numbers of people in the intel, in the government, and various companies and organizations that were due to get massive promotions, massive contracts with the government. And when Hillary lost, they basically lost millions and millions of dollars. And so part of this dynamic is you have some fairly rich people who are very pissed because they can't get super rich. And I think this is an example of that. Basically, I have someone who stood to gain quite a bit if Clinton won, and then she lost. So we're going to bring this guy down because he cost us all this money.
Again, I suppose, like many of the stories and subjects that dominate the current news cycle, are so important that you want to believe that.
Hold on, I will be right back. I have a situation. I'll be right back. Sorry about this. I am very sorry, people. I won't tell you what just happened, but I needed to take care of something, and it is now taken care of. But I'm sorry for that. JPRPH1, the New Deal, was it new or was it a deal? Talk amongst yourselves. And I'm sorry for leaving y'all hanging. Thank you very much for your patience and staying along with me. Russell Brand, I think in this case, says what a lot of us felt, that, we heard all this stuff about Trump. Some of us, I don't know that I ever believed he was a Russian asset, but I believed that there was something screwy going on. And I began to wonder, like, about my own sanity and about the things that I had read about him and seen about him before. And then it turns out that, well, no, I'm not crazy. I just have been told this big lie. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and play a little more of Russell Brand telling about how this was a lie.
Mum and pop operation. Then I'm going to be just a regular guy, a regular Joe six-pack, heading up cybersecurity for the Clinton. I've got no skin in the game. I just want to see justice served with this imaginary pretend bunch of lies I'm peddling. Those claims that he was just a concerned private citizen were negated by numerous documents obtained by Durham's investigation, including billing records where he charged the Clinton campaign for his work in trying to disseminate this story, including his meeting with Baker at FBI's headquarters. I'm just a regular citizen receiving payments from the Clinton campaign. I'm just conducting meetings with Baker at the FBI headquarters. Got to drop my kid off a soccer game, then I'm going to do some little league practice, then I'm having a meeting at the FBI. I'm just a regular Joe. I'm a concerned citizen. This is a really specific life you're living. The FBI went on a wild goose chase to investigate Sussman's conspiracy theory, but the Bureau quickly concluded that there was no evidentiary base to believe any of it. It has long been known that the Trump Alpha Bank story was a fraud. A report issued in December 2019 by the DOJ Inspector General revealed that the FBI investigated whether there were cyber links between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank, but concluded by early February 2017 there were no such links. So from 2017 onwards, why was it still being peddled? Because it was a good idea. It was a good idea.
I do think he asked a legitimate question. Well, if we'd basically disproven it already by 2017, why is it that it took till a year or two ago for CNN to finally write that, oh, by the way, this is all false. Tim is back, and I'm glad to see you're still around. All right. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. I think this goes a bit deeper. Hillary had like $1 billion war chest. People on the ground all over the place. She gets beat by a novice his first time out. I'd like to know how much of that billion ended up in the Clinton Foundation accounts or in banks in the Dutch Antilles under assumed names. Yeah, that would be interesting to know. We'll probably never know. But let's get back to this.
Yeah, the whole dislike of Trump from the left was based on this guy's corrupt, this guy's an idiot, this guy's a liar. And what's the alternative? Despite all this fraud, one of so many that formed the Russiagate scandal played a significant role in shaping media coverage of the 2016 election. Spurred on by Hillary Clinton herself, the liberal sector of the corporate media used this fake claim to bolster their narrative that Trump and the Russians were secretly in cahoots. And the story of how they spread this disinformation involves not just the potential criminality outlined in this indictment of Hillary's lawyer, but even more seriously, a rotted and deeply corrupted media. Ugh. Good language from Greenwald.
And I think we've talked about that in previous posts. No, you're not wrong, Tim. Both sides hate Trump. The left doesn't like Trump and the rhinos don't like him too. No, 100%. No, I don't know if Russell Brand talked about it, but one of the previous articles pointed out that both Democrats and Republican politicians were paying for this thing. And there's two ways to look at it. Trump is so insane that both sides are against him, or Trump is such a threat to them, whether for good or bad, that they're all going to pay money to destroy him. DJ Ronnie G, based, Tim. Let's see, how much longer does this go? I don't want you to have to listen to all of it.
Well, that's just pure theater, just pure theater.
Does anyone else ever get that impression that a lot of this stuff is just drama? All these sex scandals. I mean, look, I'm going to turn it on its head. If Trump has had sex with all these women, I want to know what he's taken. I want to know what he's eating. I want to know his exercise program. I realize the billions are what's probably attracting them, but man, I don't know that I could keep up with all that anymore. Maybe in my younger days. Gorilla's random thoughts. It's the uniparty versus the populace, and I agree 100%. Tim, the Lincoln Project, I bet, is left group saying that they are Republicans. I haven't put any thought into that. That's an interesting thought. I may have to think about that.
So you can sort of only ever, you might as well watch it the same way as you watch wrestling or something and go, well, I enjoy this, but I know it's made up. According to internal emails obtained by Durham's investigators, the researchers with whom Sussman was working warned him that the information was woefully inadequate to justify the claim that Trump was secretly communicating with the Russian bank, and that only animus against Trump would lead someone to believe that this evidence supported such a claim. But by then, the media's Russiagate fraud was in full force and could not be stopped by anyone. This particular hoax got a major boost when the candidate herself, Hillary Clinton, posted a tweet in which she claimed computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank, which would be, wow, I didn't even think of this, but would be good for me because it would mean like that Trump's corrupt and that. So that'd be because I'm actually standing against Trump. So like if he's corrupt and I'm not corrupt, well, guess what? The opposite was true. The fact is,
exactly. I mean, yeah, it turned out that the opposite was true, at least in this case. If you want to argue with me about other things, that's fine. And I'm sure that I've got plenty of friends. Well, he may have been justified in this one, but he's absolutely unjustified on all the other stuff. Well, maybe. But it also puts a chink in the armor of the media. If they're willing to fall for this, what else are they lying about? Just putting that out there. DJ Ronnie G, I think there's actually truth to that regarding the Lincoln Project. I vaguely remember investigating that a little bit of a year or two ago. Interesting. Let's see. Okay,
a lot becomes more clear. The Clinton campaign released its first McCarthyite video using dark insinuations to tie Trump to the Kremlin under the ominous headline, "What is Donald Trump's connection to Vladimir Putin?" And with that, the fraud of Russiagate was off and running, fueled by a combination of the inner Clinton circle, their corporate media, allies, and friendly state security services secretly endorsing the narrative for their media partners. We drowned in one false Russiagate story after the next, all courtesy of the same corporate media outlets that insist their mission in life is to combat disinformation and are eager to censor the internet in the name of accomplishing it. The indictment of Hillary's lawyer, Michael Sussman, attempts to depict the FBI as Sussman's victim, but the FBI, still under the command of former director Jim Comey, chose to say nothing about his findings, which debunked the Trump Alpha Bank fraud. This, in turn, allowed the same army of liberal employees of media corporations that perpetrated most of the Russiagate frauds to continue to deceive the public into believing that it was true, long after it was clear that it was fiction. Look at what's happening now in the media and think, what elements of it do you trust? What do you distrust?
It's hard to really trust any of it anymore. Sashi, Putin's statement saying he preferred Kamala, saying she had an infectious laugh, is Pete trolling too. I'm just going to have to look that up. In fact, I think I will let what Russell Brand said stand and just look that up here in a second. I do have trouble telling a rhino apart from the opposing team. Yeah, no, not wrong, DJ Ronnie G. This is one of the things that drove me into the hardcore far right section. Was listening to people that had an R beside their name, but everything they were saying was the exact same crap that was coming from the Democrats that I opposed. Gorilla's random thoughts. I prefer Tim Pool. Tim Pool. I don't know who that is. I bet I probably should. Tim Pool. Well, not Tim Pooh. Tim Pool, the fourth dimension. Do I have the right person here? I don't know. Dave Rubin, Tim Pool took millions from Russian cutouts. Tim Pool's Russian asset drama explained. This is something I should know about. Russia secretly paid Tim Pool millions. Tim Pool is a Russian asset. Okay. All right. Well, let's look. Vladimir Putin endorses Kamala. Trump reacts to Vladimir Putin endorsing Kamala Harris. Wow. Let's listen to a minute of that.
Mr. President, for all the details on your economic policy.
Actually, let's not. That audio is like just killing me. But that's what Forbes is saying anyway. Trump reacts to Vladimir Putin endorsing Kamala Harris for president. Очень интересно. All right. Tim Pool, the quartering, quite an Benny Johnson. Yeah, I was listening to ironically, I was listening to him a lot more before I had my shift in thought, because I was trying to look at both sides. Memology 101 has the video. I have gotten to like Tim Pool. So what? He's pro-Trump and therefore they're saying he's a Russian asset. Tim Pool, the quartering, or a few YouTube creators reporting on stuff like this. Okay, very cool. Very cool. But how much time have we got? Okay, let's do a little bit of a side. Oh wait, it's news today. Both were named as Russian assets. Okay, so let's go ahead and look that up. I'm going to take a little bit of time for it. Tim Pool, Russian asset. I really wish I could write a parody song about all of us being Russian assets. All right, let's present. Okay, so Forbes. These right-wing pundits were allegedly funded by Russia. Justice Department filed an indictment Wednesday. Holy cow, accusing the Kremlin of pouring millions into a media company linked to prominent online right-wing commentators as part of an influence operation pushing pro-Russia propaganda and disinformation on social media. The DOJ's indictment does not name the Tennessee-based online content creation company that received the Russian funding, but the description matches Tenet Media, which described itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Tenet's website lists 6 prominent right-wing social media personalities: Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin. Oh, okay. So we're gonna, the knee-jerk reaction for me at this time is, oh, wow. They're just using the typical strategy, the Russian assets. I'm sure my left-leaning friends, oh, wow, the right is doing the typical thing of being Russian assets. And I've got to admit, it doesn't prove that this is wrong, that they proved that Trump's was not right, but it sure seems weird. Gorilla's Random Thoughts has a video. Let's go there. All right, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Memology 101. Okay. Let's go to Gorilla Random's Thoughts. Vladimir Putin endorses Kamala Harris from Memology 101. I'm going to subscribe to them, and if I'm subscribing to a Russian asset, well, I can always unsubscribe later. Oh, I guess I should turn the...
That if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing, her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions.
So here we got to ask ourselves, is that honestly who Russia thinks it could push around, or is Vladimir Putin being a source of disinformation himself? Let's read through the chat. Mora Kitty is back. Meow meow. If you went to do your stream, I hope you had a good one. I had an incident with my dog, but she is okay. Don't worry, Matt. She's okay, but I had to stop the stream for about a minute or so to take care of Cassie, who is my overpaid assistant and gives me a lot of information. JPR PH1, Tucker 2. Yeah, they've said that he's a Russian asset because he got that interview. Sashi has to start cooking lunch. See you later, Sashi. Thank you for showing up. And Frosty B Rocks Insights. Hello, it's a Moira raid. Wonderful. Thank you, Moira. You're so kind. I love you guys. You're all wonderful. I kind of thought this stream might be about this. No, I wasn't clever enough to do that, sir. I'm just basically trying to I'm doing what I always do. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But I was inspired by that tweet, which now I see that's exactly what that tweet was talking about. I should have investigated the tweet more instead of looking into the freaking comments. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. They were victims. Tim Pool licensed his show to culture war to them. He had full control of the show. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. Tim Pool has been doing pro-Trump stuff lately. It's probably ticking off Kamala and her handlers. Mr. Lundell, he is suing Kamala. Mr. Lundell knows. And Tim, my dog she's too sweet. She basically, the long and the short of it is she threw up. And so I cleaned it up, and I know I didn't take a lot of time, but I basically made sure that she wasn't choking or anything. And I let her outside, and she seems to be okay. She just, I fed her something I shouldn't. I can do a stream about that. Yeah, absolutely. My dog, or about Tim Pool? My dog would be sweeter. Tim Pool would be more interesting. Maybe. I don't know.
Sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, it will be the choice of the US people, and we will respect this choice.
You know what? We are going to pretend we didn't hear that. Let's move on.
Okay. Interesting stuff. Okay, Pool. All right. But I don't have anything prepped for him right now. Unless a bunch of you insist, I'm going to continue with what I was going to do before. But let me know if enough of you are like, no, we want to learn about pool. We'll just do I'll just start learning about pool right now on air. So I'm not afraid to look silly because it's going to happen anyway, whether I like it or not. Frosty B. Rocks, a lot of the Russia stuff I feel is manufactured and propaganda. It's been the West, the aggressors, NATO expansion defying previous agreements. Russia isn't the bad guy it's made out to be. You know, I have friends on both the right and the left who would take umbrage with that, but I do not. And that's why I joke about being a Russian asset. Now, do I think Vladimir Putin is a wonderful person? No. Do I think that it was wrong of him to invade Ukraine? Yes, I do. But if I can be allowed to think out loud, thank you, Connie Cleary. Yeah, I'll just continue with what I have prepped. Gorilla's random thoughts. In the end, it doesn't even matter. Frosty B. Rocks, by no means a Russia fan, but I feel a lot is manufactured there with anti-Russian sentiment. There's others that are more involved in corruption in U.S. and politically. It ain't China either. People are saying, hello. Hi, Jeff B. I will continue on my merry way. Thank you very much, Jeff B. Your support is appreciated. JPRPH1, Tim Pool has been around a while. Okay, that's cool. I'm just in my own little happy place, and then I come on here wanting to talk about stuff. But what I'm trying to get at isn't even necessarily about proving or disproving something. It's about how we get deceived, how we get fed a narrative, how we get manipulated into thinking something different, whether it's right or wrong. I'm going to back up just a little bit before I proceed to the next point. One of my liberal friends, is adamantly trying, basically, he's vociferously anti-Trump. And I know I've talked about it before on the channel, and God bless him if he ever listens to this. I hope he's not pissed. And if he is, I guess I'll have to deal with it. But so many of the things that he'd say would just sound like the party lines. And I'd try to be patient. I'd try to more or less just humor him because there's no changing the mind. There's no changing the mind. But a lot of the things he said, just sounded crazy. Like almost everything, everything Trump is doing is Russian collusion, and it's all disinformation. But then there's Russians that hacked his site, and it's bizarre. And he pointed out several liberal sites, and I went to them, and some are better than others. The best one, I don't want to mention any of them, partly because I don't want him to feel like I'm calling him out. Although I guess that is kind of what I'm doing, but that's really not my intent. But partly because I also don't want to give any publicity to things that I can't really jive with. Where I'm going with this, one of the sites that I watched was talking about how Trump claimed that Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine, and of course he would not have because he is Putin's puppet. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, if that's the case, why didn't he invade Ukraine when Trump was in office? I'm not really following the logic. And then I listened to another one, and the other guy, actually, I could listen to quite a few of his because he had other stuff that really was good. But I questioned that. But then there was another one that I could only get through about 20 minutes of one of the posts, and I just unsubscribed and quit listening. The point, it was constant things that you've all already heard But the thing that caused me, and I know I was talking to you, Connie Cleary, about it yesterday when I was trying to figure the stream out, and thank you very much for your help, by the way. But according to this website, according to this YouTuber, Trump's Truth Social company, whatever you want to call it, social media platform, is run by a Chinese death cult. And basically it was, to me, it was the same thing as what happened with Kennedy. You're just telling lies until one gets so extreme that I finally just can't listen. Now, I did before this stream, I did try to find some corroborating evidence. I looked up, Truth Social is run by a Chinese death cult. The closest thing I could find to it, and I decided not to talk about it, but I'm just going to share that there's evidently a lot of Chinese immigrants, according to whatever that site was, that are very hardcore right-wing, very much love Trump, are very much against communism. Who would have thought? And donate money, you know the drill, to the Proud Boys and all the hard right-wing people, usual suspects. I think it's interesting. The Proud Boys are supposedly a bunch of racists, but the Chinese are silly enough to donate to them. It's possible. It is possible. But again, I'm having to do some mental gymnastics not to just laugh or cry about it. JPRPH1, yes. I don't mean to joke. It does pain me. It does, because I love the guy. And it's okay with me that he disagrees. That's absolutely okay. What pains me is I'd never, ever in my life heard a hateful word from this. I know he's heard hateful words from me, and I'm sorry about that. I never heard a hateful word from him in my life until he started talking about Trump. I was like, shit, what is this? I don't understand. Bye, Zimmer. Thank you very much. And yes, Trump 24 MAGA, thank you for showing up. And I hope I see you again. Hopefully this was somewhat informative, somewhat entertaining. Let me know respectfully how I can improve. Frosty B. Rocks, Trump is an AIPAC puppet. Oh, yeah. No, that actually makes more sense. Adelson Widow was just on stage at the convention bragging about how Trump does whatever they want. Yeah, no, I'm not going to argue that point because I get what you're saying. Frosty B. Rocks, Trump does absolutely anything and everything the Israel lobby wants. That's your foreign corruption in U.S. politics. Heck, AIPAC symbolism defies the U.S. flag code even. Yeah, I know about that issue too. And I'm not going to talk about it here, not because I disrespect or disagree, but just because it's not my topic for the day. But yeah, I know Moira does a wonderful job of exposing that there's influences that are more prevalent and less benign than we think they are. And I'll leave it at that. One of the reasons why it was bothering me, though, was, I don't know if any of you remember, but basically was just aping the claims that Rush Limbaugh used to have about the Clintons. I don't know how many of you remember, but he when I was a hardcore right-winger, he pretty much had me convinced that they were Manchurian candidates. And then I went to thinking, well, maybe that's just crazy. Maybe I read too much into it. But I mean, let's face it, if we're gonna be asked to entertain the possibility that a Chinese death cult runs Truth Social, maybe we should revisit the thought that the Clintons were Manchurian candidates and see if that holds up or if it's actually just a big pile of crap. Frosty B. Rocks, thought topic was Trump. Sorry, apologies. No, it's the focus really is, and I know you're right, I am talking probably too much about Trump, but the topic is that they've made a great big deal that so many people are Russian assets, and it's gotten to the point that, to me, it's frankly laughable. Okay, fine, Trump is a Russian asset. Well, so's Tulsi Gabbard, so's Tucker Carlson, so is basically everybody who disagrees with us. And at some point, to me, it starts to get ridiculous. Now, of course, I have to acknowledge, and that's what I'm about to do, that the right basically said the same things about the left, only it was 20, 30 years ago. And I kind of suspect that that's where the left got these ideas. They were like, oh my gosh, these ideas, these elements of propaganda or whatever the hell they were, they really got people to rally around the Republican cause and go after us. We can use that on the reverse. And I'm no political expert, but I kind of think that's what's going on, is that they've basically reversed the strategies, and frankly, they seem to be doing it to a lot better effect. JPRPH1, Trudeau Harris 2028, Guerrillas Random Thoughts. Are we all going to rise up and say, I am a Russian asset? I am a Russian asset, and I'm proud of it. Matt Cheatwood is back. Did you get around to the Hunter Biden laptop letter stating it was Russian disinformation yet? No, I haven't. But I could go there. That might actually be better than where I was going to go. Mr. Lundell, a Democrat calling you Russian asset, it's like being called an agent of Goldstein. Yeah. Jeff B. Clinton's just watched the movie Primary Colors and extrapolate. I don't know anything about that. Since Matt Cheatwood suggests, and I think it's a good one, that we talk about the Hunter Biden laptop next, I'm going to do a cursory job on this. The Rush Limbaugh show, this was from 2016, an explanation of how Clinton Inc. raked in cash through cronyism. Basically, well, what the hell? I'll read at least a little bit of it. At one point, he got so frustrated. Hey, if you're coming after me, why aren't you going after Bill Clinton? He did the same thing. I guess I'll back up all the way to the beginning. The WikiLeaks dump today was something incredible in it. And one of the things I like to try to do each and every day is to take the complex, make it understandable. I don't know if he'll do that. The specific leak to which I'm referring is a series of emails that show the absolute connection between the Clinton Global Initiative, the Clinton Foundation, Bill and Hillary Clinton getting personally rich from their foundations. The email dump today is largely focused on a man named Doug Band, who is a former Clinton advisor. So essentially, Rush was talking, and I won't go too deeply into it, but essentially the Clintons supposedly, purportedly got lots of money from China. They did like lots of things that the Chinese wanted. Since it's not the topic, I'm not going to go into it, but what I don't understand is that was all a bunch of ridiculous craziness, right? I mean, right? We mostly agree that was a bunch of craziness. Maybe we don't. It's okay if you do believe in it. But here's where I'm going with it. The very same people who had convinced me that this was a bunch of craziness are now turning around saying the exact same things about their opponent. Exact same things. Only, it's an R on it instead of a D. Primary colors. I need to look into that. Frosty B. Rock still say a lot of the Russia stuff is manufactured. Yeah, that's the real point of this post. It's an age-old cause for conflict. Russia saw ahead, trying to control the Arctic, shipping lanes, waters lying claim. A lot of the Russian demonetization started after they made Arctic claims towards shipping lanes and resource rights. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. That's when the Russian stuff really increased. As a Canadian, I have interest in that. That's right. Yeah. I'm glad you made that connection for me because I didn't think about that before. Matchy, would I mention it because Hunter's surprise guilty plea in his federal tax case? It leads me to think he doesn't want information to come out in a trial. Well, let's, instead of talking about what Rush was talking about back then, let's instead look up Hunter Biden pleads guilty. I know I had cursorily read a little bit about it, but let's take a little bit more of a look. I've already given CNN a go. Who do I want to go with today? All of these are left wing, but that's just what it is. So let's go with NBC. I haven't read from them today. Hunter Biden enters a guilty plea in a federal tax case avoiding a trial. The dramatic development came shortly before the jury selection was expected to begin. What would have been Biden's second trial this year? Hunter Biden pleaded guilty Tuesday to all the charges in the federal tax case against him, a surprise move that avoids a potentially embarrassing trial for President Joe Biden's son. The sentencing is scheduled for December 16. Hunter put his family first today. It's a brave and loving thing to do, his attorney Abby Lowell told reporters afterwards, saying the plea prevented a show trial. And I realize I'm not sharing this. I'm just reading it. Well, I mean, that is one way to look at it, and I don't want to completely disregard it. What I thought was a good segue was the letter released by 51 former intelligence officers. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So he's pleading guilty. We'd been told that this was all a bunch of Russian disinformation. But then we found out that the Trump thing was fake. What did happen to the 51 agents? Russian disinformation. I could go the rest of my life without hearing the word disinformation again. Let's see here. Let's go back in time to a time when we were so innocent. Okay, so intelligence.house.gov, October 19, 2020, 51 former intelligence officials signed on to a public statement that stated the Hunter Biden laptop story had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. But then we find out that that's not so. I would be curious to know what happened to the 51 agents. And I will say this, I don't pretend to know what Trump should or shouldn't do, but if he doesn't fire all 51 of those, I'm going to be kind of upset. Oh, we got to fact check it, Newsweek. Did they actually say that? Because, you know, we all didn't hear CNN say that 4 years ago. None of us did. Charlotte Nightstar, hello. Oh, Frosty B. Rocks. A few years ago, Russia made Arctic claim Northwest Passage opening, likely to get the rights issued solved and people to the table. It's when those claims were made, anti-Russia talk increased. You know, I remember hearing a little bit about that, but I never noticed the thank you for howling back. Also, after a freedom convoy protest here in Canada in 2022, 2 days after our government committed crimes against us, it was Canada that brought sanctions against Russia. Our deputy PM, she's about to continue, or they are about to continue. Sorry, Frosty. I know your wife is sometimes in there too. I didn't mean to get all that confused. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies. Most of the 50 intelligence experts also sat before Congress and lied through their teeth about not collecting metadata on everyday American citizens. Frosty B. Rocks, granddaughter of a Ukraine Nazi propagandist. Oh, I said the word. I'm doomed. No joking, straight up. Interesting. I know they applauded a zany because he fought against Russia. Okay, so the Twitter files, an expose of internal communications of the social media platform has reheated interest. How long ago was this? Oh, this was back in 2022. Story that revealed potentially compromising correspondence between advisor at Ukraine energy firm Burisma and President Joe Biden's son. Following a New York Post exclusive report in 2020, social media networks initially made efforts to limit the spread of the story, which was not censorship in any way. While the significance of the Twitter files is under debate, I think that debate's been had and won. It has reignited examination, and I'm sorry, for some reason my computer is intent on embarrassing me. It has reignited examinations of the reach that behind-the-scenes characters had in the proliferation of the early Hunter Biden reports, including the role of figures from the U.S. intelligence community. Congressman Jim Jordan stated in a Facebook post published 15 December 2022, 51 former intelligence officials, I'm glad they're former, told us the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation. That was false. Turns out the real disinformation campaign was created by our own government and woke Twitter executives. Yeah, I said the word woke. I'm bad. The post has received more than 3,000 engagements since it was published. Newsweek recently examined the Hunter Biden laptop saga in detail to understand what new information the Twitter files have revealed. Social media executives were warned in general terms of potential disinformation efforts in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election, which took place only weeks after the laptop story was published. The Twitter files have shown at least some of the various internal conversations surrounding the Hunter Biden expose. The senior Twitter employees engaged regularly with FBI and security chiefs. And I resent that. Former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey criticized the decision Twitter took after the story broke, tweeting communications around our actions at the New York Post was not great. Blocking URL sharing via tweet with zero context as to why we're blocking. It's unacceptable. It's convenient to say now. The document Jim Jordan refers to as an open letter signed by 51 intelligence experts and directors. The letter stated these former intelligence officials, based on their past experience, had serious concerns that the laptop had the potential to be linked to Russian disinformation efforts, but it also did not make a presentation of the reported contents of the laptop or general. That's equivocal. I'm sorry. That's equivocation. To say, well, it was a disinformation Russian thing, but yet it was still true. Yeah. Even when we're right, we're still Russian assets. There's just no getting around it. Frosty B. Rocks, our deputy PM Freeland, got caught in Russia spying in her 20s as part of a student exchange in Ukraine and Russia. It was even published in our mainstream news. Holy crap. Canadian Deputy Prime Minister Freeland not only got caught. Oh, I already read that. Maybe I did. She also, oh yeah, she does. Yeah, I did know that. She sits on the freaking board of the World Economic Forum, which is a clear conflict of interest to Canada and Canadians. It annoys the crap out of me how many people are in bed with the World Economic Forum. Espionage is, evidently it is. It's okay if my side does it. Trust only in your ability to reason and your core principles. All right. So essentially, I think we all know that it has, even this article says that it's been shown that the Hunter Biden laptop is a real thing and should have been shared, but it's still Russian propaganda. Okay. Well, and to be fair, you can use the best propaganda is truth. So, House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. This was just in June 25. New information shows CIA contractors colluded with the Biden campaign to discredit the Hunter Biden laptop story. I'm going to skip down a little bit. On October 14, 2020, the New York Post published a report detailing how Hunter Biden used the position and influence of his father, now President Joe Biden, for personal gain with the apparent awareness of President Biden. 5 days later, on October 19, 2020, 51 former intelligence officials signed on to a public statement that stated the Hunter Biden laptop story had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. We've already read that. Since April 2022 and renewed in January 2023, when Republicans resumed control of the House of Representatives, the committees have been conducting oversight into the origins of the statement. The committee wrote to all 51 former officials requesting relevant documents and testimony. The committee's first joint interim staff report revealed how the now infamous and discredited Hunter Biden statement this is a government website, I think. I could be wrong. Either that or it's great Russian disinformation. But the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence is at least what this purports to be. The committee's first joint interim staff report revealed how the now infamous and discredited Hunter Biden statement originated with a call from top Biden campaign official, now Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, to former Deputy CIA Director Michael Morrell to provide talking points to cover for the Biden campaign to discredit serious allegations about the Biden's family's influence peddling. Morrell's testimony also exposed the goal of the statement was to aid President Biden in the final debate of the 2020 presidential campaign. The highest officials within the CIA were aware of the statement prior to its publication. CIA's Chief Operating Officer Andrew McCridis testified that he informed Director Gina Haspel or Deputy Director Vaughn Frederick Bishop about its impending release. The sequence of events suggests that senior CIA leadership had ample opportunity to assess the validity of the statement's claims. Furthermore, the COO's office appeared to signal approval of the statement, a move that departed from standard pre-publication classification review board protocols. Additionally, some of the statement's signatories were on active contract with the CIA at the time they issued the statement to discredit damaging allegations about Biden family influencing peddling. Despite claiming they lacked access to classified information at the time, at least two signatories, Michael Morrell and former CIA Inspector General David Buckley, were actively working for the CIA as contractors. This revelation raises concerns that these officials may have abused their positions to expedite the statement's approval, may have been earning taxpayer dollars while they did it. Furthermore, officials within the CIA recognized at the time that the Hunter Biden statement was political and would hurt the agency. See, that's the real. It wasn't so much about getting Biden elected. It would hurt the CIA. We can't have that. The signatories' decision to leverage their former intelligence community titles to promote a narrative about foreign election interference improperly embroiled the agency in domestic politics. This report underscores the potential dangers of a politicized intelligence community. Again, I don't know how legit this site is, but it looks legit to me. The House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, established in 1977. All right. What is the chat saying in here? I still don't understand how people still support Biden. Yeah, me too. I don't. I'm sorry. I know my friends do. I want to be respectful to them, but I don't understand. The only thing I understand is you hate Trump so much that you will support whoever is against him. That's the only thing that I can get from what you say. Matt Cheatwood, Mike, and then when I say that, not you, Charlotte, but my friends that I'm whining about. I probably should get you caught up to speed a little bit, Charlotte. Basically, I've been talking about how it's just become kind of a pat answer that whatever a right-winger says, that right-winger is a Russian asset and is just promulgating Russian disinformation. I'm trying to establish that, at least maybe I can't prove it, but I think there's some strong evidence to show that that's exactly what's going on. Matt Cheatwood, my conclusion is that you can have a high degree of confidence that whatever the Dems accuse of Republicans and independents of doing is what the Dems are doing themselves. And this is one of the other reasons why I've gotten to the point where I'm at. You know I watched a video today by Robert Reich, the darling economist of the left, saying that RFK is dangerous, that he's crazy, that he's all this stuff. And he plays some stuff that I know probably the left-wingers think is dangerous and crazy. I hate to say it. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but it doesn't sound crazy to me. It sounds like someone who's tried to do their own thinking. Maybe he came to the wrong conclusion. But you're going to have to debate it with me with thoughts and ideas, not, well, that's been debated and won. But they did the same things to RFK that they did to Trump. The exact same things. So, you can't really tell me that this isn't, it's just Trump. That's all. No, it's anyone who comes against you at all. Anyone. No matter how legitimate, no matter that they're Democrats, no matter that they're Kennedys, no matter that their ideas resonate with the American people, we're going to make up lies and we're going to do lawfare and we're going to try to take him off the ballot. Frosty B. Rocks, Republican or Democrat is irrelevant. The lobbyists control both sides. Even ChatGPT will openly tell you that lobbyists make donations to both sides to ensure interests go through. Not wrong. Got to go start Cringe Talk. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to wrap this up here in a little bit. I've got a couple more things and then I'm done. Thank you for being here so long. You're a gentleman and a scholar. I hope you have a wonderful stream. I wish I'd known about it before, but I'd already kind of committed to myself to watch Mr. Londell on Netters Network. So thank you, though. You are also a wonderful person, and you have a wonderful channel. Frosty B. Rocks, the right versus left is the problem. People are divided, pitted against one another, just trying to form and voice an opinion based on humanity and reality. Yes. Not right or left thinking. And it's again, I go back to what Kennedy said. Whatever we decide to do, whatever we decide to vote, whether it's Kamala, whether it's Trump, whether it's whoever, we have to love our children and our country more than we hate Trump. He put it the best of anyone that I've ever heard say any of this stuff. Next thing I'm going to share is Tulsi Gabbard. Because as you all, I think most of you know, she has been declared basically she is now on a terror watch list. And a couple of comments in my channel it's because, she's a Russian asset. So let's see what she has to say. And Gorilla's Random Thought, before I start on that, we're watching a show that got canceled after 10 episodes because a bunch of suburban white women complained it was racist. Wow. Okay. I'm trying to remember what your show was. Forgive me. I'm sometimes not all together with it. But if anyone does not want to go to Netters Network and listen to Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, please maybe think about going and watching Gorilla's Random Thoughts and his sharing of this TV show. JFK was the last great American president. According to Frosty B. Rocks, he tried to warn the people of a behind-the-scenes group controlling everything. 30 days after making a speech alerting people, he was shot. Oh, it's Border Town. Okay, so if you don't want to go to Netters Network, go and see Gorilla's Random Thoughts. And he's good people. Give him some love and support. Oh, I'm obviously not Russian asset, Tovarish. The sun turns red over Moscow. So, Honestly, it doesn't prove that she's not a Russian asset. Let's at least let her defend herself. Let's hear what she has to say to Joe Rogan, who is also maybe not a Russian asset, but he's also part of the bad guys. We had to tear him down because he took a unsanctioned treatment for the disease which shall not be named. And then later I found a government website touting the same drug as a miracle cure.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
People are using these debates.
Even when I was most opposed to Trump, it was an opinion that was really unpopular with my friends, but I never, believed that Trump should be taken off of Twitter. There's very few people I would kick off of a social media account. And I think it was unconscionable that when Trump was kicked off, Iran was still on there. And, maybe they should have been on there. I'm a big proponent of free speech, but if you're going to kick anyone off, I would think it would be Iranian terrorists, but no, we're going to keep them on there. We're going to kick Trump off. Okay. So I want to point out, when I was bad sick, and I think most of you in here know a little bit about that, but I was really badly sick about 4 or 5 years ago. I watched quite a bit of Joe Rogan at the time, and he was in no way pro-Trump. He wasn't as hateful as a lot of people are, but he criticized him up one end and down the other. And I think it's interesting that he has had that shift. I don't know about necessarily being pro-Trump, but he's definitely, he does not speak nearly as negative about him as he used to, and he speaks much more negatively about Biden and Kamala. As a small L libertarian, free speech is sacred. Right on. Sashi, the drug was also a requirement for refugees coming in from certain countries as listed on my government's websites. Maybe they were horse-human hybrids. Yeah, I mean, but anyway.
Going on.
It's hilarious too.
Well, you called it a while ago when you say, hey, no.
Maybe you know, maybe you don't. This guy's name, I want to say, is Rocco. Please correct me if someone knows better. He's a Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL. And I just thought it was interesting that after she was, after she left the Democratic Party, he wanted to go on with her and talk about what was going on with our country. It's a great podcast. Many of you may or may not know, but basically Kamala Harris she ran to be president back in 2020, as did Tulsi Gabbard. And I happen to just love Tulsi Gabbard. And, maybe that's why I'm thinking she's not a Russian asset, but she destroyed Kamala in the debate. And to me, all you really have to do if you want to decide if you should vote for her or not is listen to that debate alone. But neither here nor there.
Democratic Party, and you two are scrapping. Did that start when you supported Bernie in 2016? Is that where it started?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was something.
Again, that's about as liberal as it gets. This is someone who decided after she realized she couldn't win, she threw in her support with frickin' Bernie Sanders. And I don't want to be mean or disrespectful, but it's hard to get much further left wing than that. And she's on their crap list, not because of ideology at all, just because she's actually talking about the election in 2016, though.
To resign from that seat so that I could endorse Bernie Sanders, largely because of his. No,
maybe it was it's 2016. That's right. Let's see, JPRPH1. I never heard any of my clients nay yet. I think that's the real secret. I think that's what it is. You're a Russian asset if you're against the wars, because obviously the war's ending is good for Russia, which, to be blunt, it freaking is. The best thing that could happen for Russia right now is for the freaking Ukraine war to end. But I think that's the key. You know, we're taking on the military-industrial complex, and you know, even if the Clinton thing is incorrect, please don't be disingenuous and tell me that the Boeing deaths are not just suspicious as heck. If you're not on some list with an agency somewhere by now, are you really making a difference? I wondered about that at Frosty B. I know I have friends who are very smart and very kind who are telling me, hey, don't get your head up. Don't become a target. And they're probably right. But Matt, this is the point. It's not even just so much that they're constantly saying that people are Russian assets. I remember a time when you had at least some people who would push back on things. You know, right or wrong, the thought of journalism used to be, well, we're going to tell truth to power. We're going to challenge the things that they say. And now that's all gone. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, Russia is doing better than we are being led to believe, I suspect. And I do too. I'm not going to go down that road only because I want to stay focused, but I actually believe that too. Now, is the Ukraine war hurting them? Yeah. But I don't think, let's just say I would be profoundly surprised if this causes them to fall. I've been surprised before. Charlotte Nightstar, hypocrisy rules the government, not democracy. What you have said, Charlotte, is a danger to our hypocrisy. You should take it back. JPRPH1, Republicans seemed to be the warmonger when I was young. Yeah, they did. I remember Reagan was vilified for being a warmonger. Things are upside down from when I was young. Yeah, the Democrats were huge proponents of free speech. I remember the Republicans being so mad. You know, you guys want Playboy to be legal, and you guys want flag burning to be legal, and you want all these people who think crazy to be allowed to say stuff, and they should be silenced. And now it's all reversed. Matt Cheatwood, I do horrible things like supporting the Constitution, free speech, bodily autonomy, free market trade, non-interventionist foreign policy. You, Matt Cheatwood, are an obvious Russian sympathizer. One of their primary assets, I am sure. I hope you spend the rubles wisely you have been given. Frosty V. Rocks was hauled into the... What? Is this you personally or someone else? Was hauled into a police detachment in January 2020 after a 3-month investigation. Oh my gosh. Due to my online activity. Oh my gosh. I hope that's terrible. I don't even know what to say about that. Those in 2024 complaining about police involvement over social media posts. Way to catch up. See, I knew about some of the things that were going on with the trucker protest, but I didn't know about that. Oh my gosh, that is terrible. I spend my rubles on goats and pigs. I'm going to skip ahead to this and then probably just play a minute, and then I'm going to go to my last point and call it a stream.
More.
And I hate to cut her off, but I do need to cut it short to get to one more thing before the stream ends. But essentially, I mean, they ramrodded Biden. They ramrodded him out. They've got Kamala. I don't know what it will take to get some people to see the light. And now I'm going to bring back, I know I had more or less promised not to talk about this guy anymore, but I think the main person that doesn't like him doesn't come here anymore. And I hope that there's no bad feelings, but at the same time, I'm not the channel for that person. I'm just saying. This is Weinstein.
Absolutely. Let me just be perfectly clear about this. I think the modern Democratic Party is an existential threat to the Republic. And although I am a Democrat, I've been a Democrat my whole life, the party that I see in front of me today is literally the inverse of the party I signed up for. This is now the party of war. This is the party of racism. This is the party of censorship. I don't recognize this party.
To put this into perspective, this is Brett Weinstein. He's a professor. Basically, it's same song, different verse. He's a left-winger. He was a supporter of Kennedy, actually. He also had a shift after the assassination attempt. But where I'm going with this is, you know, he saw things differently, and because he saw things differently, he had to be destroyed, and they basically got him fired from his job. And now he's been making a living as a freaking podcaster, you know, which is great, actually. I'm glad he's got that. But this is the point I'm trying to make. When the left-wingers are actually seeing through the lies, maybe it's time that we start listening as well.
There is no conceivable scenario in which I would vote for Kamala Harris. I just simply will not do it. Am I open to voting for Trump? I am. I'm especially open to it if he is partnered with Bobby Kennedy, because what that tells me...
Yeah, this podcast came out just like days before Bobby Kennedy endorsed Trump.
Is that my values, which are a much closer match for Bobby's, are represented in that administration. And that's really what I want. I want a coalition to redefine American politics because, frankly, we have a long-standing problem with corruption, which has now turned into something else with the modern Democratic Party. But we need to rethink the way we govern ourselves so that corruption is not the dominant force, and a coalition is the way we're going to do that.
And I know he had come on X before Kennedy's endorsement of Trump. And he actually was even before Vance had been picked as VP, and he practically begged Trump to just, say, unite the country. The best thing that you can do is talk to Kennedy, make him your VP, and the two of you unite and make a shot at fixing these things. Frosty B. Rocks, there's no right or left. The same puppet masters control both sides as I see it. Always bigger behind the scenes, pictures at play. Rethink the government. Yes, sir. I don't know that I want to listen to the whole thing. I'll listen to a little bit more and maybe make another comment or two, and then I'm going to call it a stream to give you guys time to get over to Netters or wherever you need to go after this.
Yeah. So, okay, that's important because, by the way, strategically, for somebody that's in this, he says the reason why he's supporting Trump is because of freedom of speech, free speech, no wars, and attacks on children, right? Those are some.
My apologies. This wasn't days before. This was like, I want to say a few days after. I misspoke. It was a little bit after Kennedy endorsed Trump.
The things he talked about on his live, that those were the things that he was interested in. Now, in your opinion, does this take the event that happened with Musk last week? President Trump and Musk do a Twitter Spaces or X Spaces, right? 3 hours and 15 minutes, the hour break. Say Trump goes for 2 hours and 30 minutes with Musk. I listened to the whole thing beginning to the end. Gets 1 billion views. Record breaking ever. No one's ever gotten those kinds of views. Those two guys, the richest man in the world with potentially the next president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. What has a bigger effect, actual direct effect on election on November 5th? Musk's live with Trump or Bobby stepping aside and endorsing Trump?
I'm going to read this. The momentum behind President Trump is unmatched. According to the statistics, Americans garnered historic numbers. As of noon today, 25 million X-users listened to the entire interview from start to finish. The total number of impressions reached 2.9 billion, is still growing. From start to finish, there were roughly 1.5 million concurrent listeners. President Trump's space post generated 187 million views, over 9.6 million posts related to the interview. The Trump War Room's interview related content was reposted, and over $1 million was raised from the link, which I think someone was trying to say that's campaign finance stuff. And I don't know, maybe so. Frosty B. Rocks, I had a message not go through. I promise I've never censored anybody on here. Oh, and that's why YouTube had to censor you. Frosty B. Rocks was part of the 2022 Freedom Convoy here. Good on you, shutting down the international border. Best experience of my life as a Canadian. Matt Cheatwood and I also applaud you, Frosty B. Rocks. That's awesome. JPRPH1, I watched every minute, almost the streamer's coverage of that, Frosty. That whole thing opened up my eyes to the fakes, MSM. When I typed that all in one sentence post, it didn't go through. I'm sorry. I was jokingly going to ask if your bank account got frozen. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if he was arrested, then I could easily see his bank account having gotten frozen. I mean, it's his story, not mine, but I absolutely I don't like it. I disagree that it shouldn't have happened. We're getting pretty close to the end. Again, I may not have proven the point, but I hope I've established there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of good argument that a lot of this Russian collusion crap is just that. JPRPH1 says that whole thing was crazy. It was. I think I got more coverage about that from Russell Brand and Tucker Carlson, or at least Russell Brand, than I did from the big networks who virtually ignored it. Matt Cheatwood, they can freeze my bank account if they want. There's no money in it. I would be in a world of hurt if they froze my bank account. I got to admit. But as we've said, as we've talked about, Matt Cheatwood, if I value my security more than my freedom, I'm going to lose both anyway. So, Frosty B. Rocks, my account wasn't. I knew others that were. I also didn't donate to specific groups or anything. Only some specific streamers and people through e-transfer. Frosty B. Rocks, we can email each other money in Canada. Oh, that's cool. I mean, we have programs like that over here, but I don't know that I can exactly email anyone. Now every spammer that follows me is going to be asking. Okay. Not only do they ignore the Canadian trucker, they outright write about it. Are you saying MSM? Oh, the mess? No, I'm not sure if I understand. I'll give you a chance to respond to that. But anyway, the long and the short, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But with some respect to my liberal friends, who I hope are still at least more reasonable than the media and the military-industrial complex that we're talking about. Mainstream media, duh. I should have known that. No, they did. One of my friends, this is one of the things that exasperates me. CNN has never lied. Bullshit. I'm not saying Fox never does. I'm not saying Trump never does. But do not come to me with CNN never lies. The U.S. had better coverage than our own media of our protest. Oh, crap. I'm really sorry to hear that. Okay, I got to call it a stream, guys. Long and the short, we are Russian assets because we do not believe party line. We will probably vote for Trump because I haven't proven it. I know that this doesn't establish proof, but I hope I've at least punched a hole in the idea that just because you're a right winger, you can be accused of being a Russian asset. Going to say thank you to everyone in the chat and move on over to the netters because they're about to go on. Thank you very much, JPRPH1, Connie Cleary. Some there are who call him Tim. He's FKHC 2005. Matt Cheatwood, thank you very much for your support and kindness. Very much appreciated. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, thank you for coming to my stream before yours. I hope a few people are able to go there. But again, my loyalty is to Netter. But if you don't want to go there or can't go there, please give Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Maybe do some simulcasting or something. Give them a like and a comment. Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies, we got him monetized. Hell to the yes. Thank you very much. I will be seeing you soon. DJ Ronnie G, thank you for showing up and for your comment. Horse123, thank you very much. Moira Kitty, meow meow to you. Thank you for the knowledge that you've shared. Thank you for teaching me a few things. Thank you for your kindness and support. All right, we had some new people show up. Yeah, we always have a good chat. I love that. Hey, Zimmer, thank you. I hope that you enjoyed it. Even if you decide not to subscribe, I would love for you to watch a few things and maybe let me know what you think. But be nice. Be a constructive criticism person. Trevor Belmont, thank you for showing up. Appreciate your comments. Sashi from the future, thank you for your comments and your support. You're very kind. The odds are you won't live to see tomorrow. Secret Russian man, secret agent man. He has run for the presidency and he's done it full of blame. Oh no, you let the long word slip by kissing persuasive lips. The odds are your tweets won't last till tomorrow. Frosty B. Rocks, you came along as well with the Moira Kitty Raid. Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing the information and the comments. Jeff B., thank you very much for the comments and the support. You're very kind. Yeah, I wanted to write a spoof of it, but I didn't get to it. Today was a busy, busy day, and tomorrow's going to be even worse. But I'll make it through. I've survived worse. Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Ah, woo! Werewolf of Twin Peaks. She is a wonderful person. You need to check out her blog about Twin Peaks. If I were really clever, I would post links, but I'm kind of in a hurry here. I think I got everybody. Did I miss anybody? My apologies if I did. But thank you, all of you. You're wonderful comrades. We will sing Russian anthem as we drink vodka and eat borscht over the carcass of America. All right. Thank you very much. And I guess I'll end also with my spiel. There are those that say that life is pain, and anyone who tells you differently is just trying to sell you something. And I, in fact, am trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that liberty is better than freedom. Liberty is better than freedom. Liberty is better than slavery. That you are, in fact, wise and intelligent and capable enough to run your own life. Do not need the government to do that for you. That you should, yes, submit to legitimate government that you have helped to establish, that has proven that it has your best interests at heart, but you should not bow down to tyrants, abusers, liars, or gaslighters. And I want you to know that while you're being told otherwise, you are not going mad. You're going sane in a world gone mad. Appreciate you guys. You're so very awesome. Be careful of pretty faces that you find. A pretty face can hide an evil mind. Stormy Daniels. Yeah, this softcore music makes it a little hard for a non-musical person like me to sing to. Yeah, I'm probably going to get a freaking strike. Spoon! I wax my mustache in preparation for this jam. You're wonderful people. All right, I'm going to call it a stream. Hope to see some, if not all of you, over at Netters Network in 6 minutes. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.